I would say I am very grateful for the family that has raised me all these years. To be honest, my family was not a traditional one, or at least how the nuclear family is always depicted. It is closer than some others, but it definitely did have its quirks that I had to learn and understand as I grew up. But either way, I was very grateful that the gospel of Jesus Christ was a very strong, supporting pillar in the life of my family. And thus with it, I'm very thankful for the proclamation to the world, the family, was taught and explained in my family. Lord helped me receive answers to a lot of questions as I was young. He gave me guidance in these confusing times when there are so many diverse opinions on gender and family. In my family, I have my mother, my father, and one younger brother of about 2 years. Yeah. The roles that my parents played, some of them stay the same throughout my entire life, and others change. For example, my father always was the leader of our household. In a sense, he was our patriarch. And our leader. But he was not always our provider, at least financially. In my life, there was times when my father was the breadwinner, and at times when my mother was, depending on the circumstances. But genuinely, my mother was oftentimes the one who was the burger. This came down to several different reasons. All which I probably do not understand, as those were decisions that my parents made. But some of the reasons were that my mother was better, or rather, was more successful in her career than my father. And another would be that my father was generally pretty good at housework. That being cooking, cleaning the house, laundry, taxes. And since for many of my years we moved around a considerable amount of times, was also in charge of buying and selling our homes. My mother was and is even though she did have to take time to work. The benefit in my household was that even though my mother was the one who had to work quite a bit, she was able to work from home. When I got to be in the 4th grade. My family moved as I said beforehand, moved a considerable amount of times. I was born in Sacramento, California. I've lived in Oregon, Hawaii, Wyoming, Washington, Arizona, and had a little time in Canada and Utah. Many people ask if I had a military family, and the answer is simply no. But just that there was a reason each time that we felt like we needed it. Sometimes it was because my family wanted a better living, or at least a more enjoyable living environment. Other times it was financial, and other times we were trying to live by family. So at least in my family, we oftentimes, due to my mother being able to work from anywhere, we're really close because all of us were inside the house most of the time. It wasn't perfect. There was flaws at times, well, probably plenty, as with any family, but it was a good household to be in. If I would comment on how my parents raised me, my parents taught me many principles that are in the family of proclamation to the world. As it says in the family of proclamation to the world, that the first presidency in the Council of the 12 solemnly proclaimed that marriage is between a man and a woman, is ordained with God, and that the family is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of His children. My parents taught me again and again the importance of following a path that can lead me back to my Heavenly Father. That plan requires that I follow the commandments, which one of those commandments, as it talks about in the family of proclamation to the world, is to have children, is to have a family. And to have a family, you have to get married. When I was younger, I thought this was rather simple, but seeing the world more and more, it helped me realize that this idea of the importance that my parents put on me and taught me, that I need to prepare, think, and understand this role for a future, left a great impact on myself. I find that there is a lot of confusion in these days. But that light that my parents gave to me was very helpful in guiding me. Another important thing that my parents taught me is that I was a son of God. Give a quote from the family of proclamation to the world. I would say this was very influential. Simply taught me who I was. What was my purpose? For me, my purpose is to become a better disciple of Jesus Christ. To find joy in this life, even if it's very difficult. To strengthen my family, my current one and my future one, so that I can help them also find joy. And through that, I can grow as a better person and become more Christ-like. That's one aspect. The other aspect is that they taught me that I was a son of God. Not just a child, but a son. This world is rather, I would say, have gone rather highly questionable in their interpretation of gender. And I'll be honest, one thought I do have is, what would my life be like if I wasn't raised in the church? There's so many possibilities. I don't know exactly what would have happened. But one question I have would be, would I be swept away in the tide of transgender? Would it be swept away in the tide of pornography? I can see that. Would it be swept away in the tide of immorality and breaking the law of chastity? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to tell if you do something or keep a commandment until you're actually told and taught that. So I am very thankful that I am, because when I was young, I definitely had questions. I am not the most manly guy. When I was a little young, I guess I did question, because I was a kid. There's a lot of things you question about, you want to understand. But I think one of the basic lessons that my parents gave me is that even if I was a little bit weird, I was still very much a son of God. That this gave me blessings, but also responsibilities in the future. I can't change this, but I can learn to accept to go for it. Which I feel like a lot of people would be best on hearing that. As it also says in the Family Proclamation to the World, is the importance of chastity and the importance of keeping yourself morally clean, as I was talking about beforehand. I am very grateful that I was taught this, because as I said beforehand, I very likely would have been swept up in the turbulent sea that is pornography and other stuff. I see it all over the world. Most people do it, get sucked into it one manner or another. But as I've lived my life, I'm grateful that I was taught enough to stay away from it. Because I know, inside myself, that it probably would have consumed me. For me, it's hard to explain basically how they taught me this, that. I would say it was rather general. But they did spend time to help me understand this. Well, yes, in many aspects got slow. They could have been better at times, but they also were decent enough. And so that, again, I am thankful for. Another thing that I am grateful that my parents taught me was the importance of the roles that fathers and mothers have in the family. Because they are different. Men and women both have their strengths and weaknesses. Or at least, that's what my parents taught me. And that is what I believe now. But at the same time, my parents, due to somewhat unusual circumstances of my father not always being the breadwinner, and sometimes having the role of being our homeschool teacher, helped me understand that each family is different, and sometimes things don't always work out. Or we have strengths and weaknesses that might not be seen as standard. But with the Lord's help, we can grow and learn and find a way to best help provide and care for our family. My father taught the idea of the good guidelines for the roles of fathers and mothers, but that you should use personal revelation and your circumstances and understand what is the best way to provide for your family in particular.